So hello, all you beautiful, wonderful people out there, and thank you so much for joining me, Lily Code, for another episode of 100 Days of Code. Today we are on day 87, and we're getting straight into this. So, where I left off yesterday was going on down a rabbit hole, because I thought that our edit wasn't working, because currently it's adding a new item when we add something in. So if I add this and then edit this, it brings back up the same text in our input box here, and then I can edit it. So I can say edited and now send, and what I was expecting to see was for that one to be edited, but instead it's adding a new one. And as always, things that happen, I checked, just opened up again, new day, new dawn, and things get clearer. And seeing that we haven't actually completed this, we haven't completed the editing portion yet. So I was going through the code, trying to debug it, trying to see why it's not working, but actually I need to just continue because we haven't completed this editing bit. So sometimes when things go wrong, you can go on a tangent, but check the next lectures in the course, because that happens to me too often. So let's keep going. So as always, just watching Brad Traversy's course, which is the React Front to Back 2022 course. So let me see in my rating select if I have brought in the use context, which I think I have. So no, I haven't. Okay, so this is where we're at. Cool. Just go back a bit more and make sure. Oh yeah, so we hadn't actually brought it into the rating select. We're not using our context in here, so yes. Use context. So there we go. We'll bring in use context, and then we'll use it to get the state of the context. So the context that we have, keeping the state of, is defined in this file here. So we have our feedback context file. We are sending in an initial array that we want to set up with. So that's just our feedback, which we can see in this list here. So feedback 3, feedback 2, this is from the context. That's just this array of objects that's getting populated. And then what we are doing is we also have a feedback edit, which is use state. So we're tracking the state of this feedback edit variable. And we have this function edit feedback that's setting that feedback edit variable to, well, it's an object. And it's changing the state of this object and keeping track of that for us. And then down at the bottom here in our feedback context provider tells us all the things that we can access across the app when we import this use context and use it. So we have our feedback, we have our delete feedback function, our add feedback function, our edit feedback function, and then the state of the feedback edit, which is the object, and it's the particular item that we want to edit. So this can all be accessed across the app because of this file, this feedback context file. And we've been setting this up in like yesterday's video and the day before, I think, but it's all listed in the description, so do check it out. And yes, so let's continue. So cool, so we're back over in our rating select file here, and we're pulling in this use context to use the context and get this state across this application. So cool. He has copied from our feedback form. So in our feedback form here, we've also used the context, and we're getting this the state that's tracked. So here we go, we have use context, and we're getting that feedback context, which is that big object with all that stuff in it. And for this particular component, we're getting the add feedback function and then the feedback edit, so that object that's keeping track of one of those individual items in our list. So perfect. And when we call the feedback edit, we pass in that item, so that's how we have access to it in the parameters. So we'll go back to our rating select here, and we will implement this. So cool. Cool. So underneath our state here, use state, we will do the same thing. We're going to use the context and bring some of this in. So we have imported it up here, and we also need to import our feedback context. So let's do that. We'll just say import feedback context. Perfect. And save. So we don't need the add feedback function, we just need the feedback edit in this particular component, and you'll see how that's going to be put into place now in a moment. So we're also going to use Useeffect, which is another React hook. So we'll use Useeffect and define it. So Useeffect. And why am I inside of a function here? Should I be? No, I'm not. I just have my lines wrong. So these should all be back one, because these are at the first level. So we've opened our curly brackets, and then we tab in and we have this. We tab in and we have this, and then we have this. This should also be back one, so I don't know what's going on with my indentation here. But we've Useeffect, and Useeffect takes in a function. So we will define that, and then we can use it. And it's going to be dependent on the feedback edit. So we'll add a comma, our dependencies array, and say we're going to be dependent on the feedback edit for this Useeffect. So if the feedback edit changes, this Useeffect hook will be run. Cool. So what we want to do is set the selected, oh, not there, so up here, set selected, and so this is just another React hook, a use state hook. So we want to use this to set the selected value. So you have your function and your value in your use state. It's just another hook that you can again keep track of state, but within a component for use state. Whereas use context is in a wider sense, you can use that across different components. Whereas use state is within a single component state management. So in here we'll pass in feedback edit. Perfect. And we want it to be feedback edit dot item dot rating. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so basically I just jumped ahead of myself. So now if we edit, we get the 5 and we get that this is the context. If I click this one, we get 4 and we get this as feedback 2. And at the moment when we click send, it's adding a new item because we just haven't set it up to instead update the same item. So that's what we're going to do. Perfect. So funny how I just jump ahead of myself and we haven't even wrote the code, and I'm like trying to debug it, wondering what's wrong. Nothing like, well, you know, maybe I could figure it out, but we just haven't even got there yet, so. Cool, so now what we're going to do is in our feedback context, we're going to add a new function that will update the current feedback. So we create a new function, const update feedback, and again this will be a arrow function, and it needs to take in two things. So we need to know what we're updating, so we pass in the ID, and then we also want the new information. So we'll say updated item, and for the moment we'll just console log this. So we'll just say console log ID and update item, just to see those coming out into the console for the moment. And then we need to add this to our feedback context provider, which is where everything that we want to access outside gets listed. So perfect. So yes, in here we're just going to add our update feedback. update feedback function, and let's keep all of our functions together. So I'll move this. So we have delete feedback, add feedback, edit feedback, update feedback. So then we'll have feedback and our feedback edit, as they're not functions, and the rest below are functions. So cool. So now in our feedback form, we need to use this update feedback context that's saving the state of, so we can access that function from anywhere. So we will add it in here. Yes, from our use context, we want to deconstruct it also. So now we have access to that function. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, so where we want to call this is where we handle the submit. So once we click that submit button, that's when we want to use this. So here we are just adding feedback at the moment. So what we want to do is set a condition and say if new, then add new, and if not new, then create a new one. So we'll say if feedback edit if feedback edit dot edit, which is a property on this feedback edit, then if it's equal to true, this will tell us that yes indeed we are editing. We'll open up our brackets, and what we want to do instead is update, and we'll pass in feedback edit and dot item dot id, because it takes in the ID and it takes in the new feedback, which will be the updated feedback in that function. And then we want an else statement. So in the case that it's not being updated, we just want to add new feedback. So now we can move this up. So perfect. Can't remember how to just like cut that, so we will just do it manually. And perfect. Shortcuts, really need to get down on my shortcuts, but anyway. So let's see now. So if we go now, reload, and edit this particular piece, so we'll instead say 3, and we'll say this is the from the context we have updated this feedback item, and send. So I don't know what happened there. But it didn't go in, did it? New feedback. Don't know what trying it again is going to do, but let's just try it again. Attempt to. And see what happens. Send. So it is not updating now. Right, so he changed, of course, because we're only logging it to the console at the moment. Yes, we haven't actually done it yet, so we haven't fed it back into the actual feedback item. Yes, all we said within that function was console log, so that's why. So we did get our console log, so brilliant, cool. So yes, all that function is doing at the moment is console logging. Cool. Cool. So instead what we want to do in here is set feedback, and what we want to do is return a new array with that information changed in it. So that's what we're going to do. So we take the current feedback array and we map over it and check if the item item.id, if that is, so the item.id, if that's equal to the ID that's coming in, or then if that's the case, then what we want to do is go through all of the items in the list and get each of them. So this is just saying spread them out, get all the items that are already there, and then add the updated item to this array. So just stick that on at the end. Perfect. And then otherwise, if this is not the case, we just want to return the item. Perfect. Okay, and save. And have I got the right amount of brackets there? I do. Okay, and this one should really drop down. Okay, so we'll drop this down and we'll drop this parentheses down just to make it clear what's going on. And then item is not defined, ID, updated item. So item. So line 39, 39 and 39, item is not defined. Yes, of course, because I need to actually say map over the items, which I forgot to do. So here we're taking in the item and we are running the function on it, the map function, and then with that item we're performing the following. Yeah, and save. So now that should be it. So I didn't actually take in the item, that was the problem. Perfecto, selecto. Cool. So this has a rating of 5, so let's change it to 7 and update this to updated and send. There we go. Now the rating still isn't hooking up, but great. We've got somewhere, that's great. And I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole now wondering about that for a minute, because there was a rabbit hole gone down yesterday. I'll just keep watching for the time being and we can figure it out at the end. Cool. So what we're going to do now is use Json Server, which is a mock backend, so we can figure out how this would actually, all this is great, like this is how you would have a feedback UI component. This is fabulous, but really in the real world what you'd want to be doing is storing this on a backend most likely, so that's what we're going to implement next. So with using Json Server, we can sort of pretend that there's a backend there that, you know, we built ourselves, and we can just use it as a backend. Awesome. So first of all, what we do before we do that is we're going to deploy it to Netlify, which again is like just fabulous information, you know, it really is. So just listening to the video here. Cool. Okay guys, great. So what we're going to do now is deploy. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. So do I want to run the app on another port? Not for the moment. What I want to do is stop my compiler, and then I want to run npm run build to create a build. So that shouldn't be in capitals. Perfect. and let's go. Lovely. So that'll just take a few minutes. So this is going to create a build for us in this folder called build. So as it says here, this is creating an optimized production build. So perfect. So in order to serve this, once this is created now, we can install a package called serve from npm, which will allow us to serve this production build the same way that now we're serving up our project locally. We can serve our production build. So we just need to wait for this to finish, and then we'll be good to go. Perfect. So now I'll install that package npm I g serve. So we want to globally install this package serve. So we'll just wait for this to go, and then what we want to do is run it. So I'll say serve, give it the S flag, and what we want to serve is our build folder. So we pass that in, and there we go. So now it's served it. So it's served, but it looks like we have some issues. So, oh, did I not finish something somewhere? So what's this telling us here? It says type error, we.useContext is not a function. So where have I said this? Because it's telling me it's not a function. So let me just type in useContext and see everywhere we have it, and make sure that we used it correctly wherever we've called this out. So, well, that's not where I want to import it from, I don't think. Well, yes, that's where it's getting imported from everywhere, so okay. Let me just Google this and make sure, like, is that where we should be getting that from? Copy, go to our browser. React context hook from React, yeah, so this should just be from React, I think. So let's change it here and see what happens, see what error we get, and let's just serve it up locally and see what it says. And then I think it was just importing it from the wrong place. So now we'll do npm start, just a normal starting of our regular old project locally. We're firing it up here, we're serving it. And yeah, let's run it on a new port. Something's already running on port. That is our production build. So here we go. Let's just see if we get errors from importing that from React, which we shouldn't. I think that's what was incorrect. So yeah, okay. So look, we best change this everywhere. Usecontext should be coming in from React. So I mean, maybe that is the right folder, but we have an error got to do with the usecontext. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it should be from React, as we see in some of these examples, yeah. And then in others, it just got it from the wrong place. And let's just check how we're using this usecontext everywhere. So I'm just going to go through all the examples. You don't need the semicolons at the end. I just like them. So we've seen one example there where it had it and another where it didn't, but that's okay. And you know what, I'm just going to go through this slowly once more again. So import usecontext from React, okay. So we can actually add this to our array up here because they're important from the same place, and get rid of this just for clarity, for readability. And then let's go through each of these. So here I'll just add my semicolon, not necessary but nice to have in my opinion. And let's keep going. From React, use context, we're destructuring our stuff, and we have it from the feedback context, great. Okay, from React, cool. Use context, yeah, destructuring. Use context, React, great. Cool, yes. Let's add in our semicolon. Not that it matters, but visually, maybe it does. And use context. So now let's try and run that production build again and see how we get on. So I'll just open up a new terminal. I'll get rid of our old ones. I want to stop that running for the time being and do npm. I can just press up to get my last commands. So we'll run our build again. This will build it again, and then we will serve our build again. So let's see, and I'll keep watching the video in the meantime. Cool, and now what we want to do is serve it. So perfect. It's served on localhost 3000. Perfect. So that was the problem. We were just importing that from the wrong place. So now if we edit this, let's see if this still works. Updated and send. Perfect. So now what this means is we could upload this build folder to any hosting service, and that's how you actually host your website then. That's how you go to a URL and you see a website, they've uploaded this build folder somewhere. So this has all the information about our application. But what we're going to do now is add our backend. So I'm just going to push all of our code at the minute. So git commit message adding, well, first I need to add everything. So git add everything, just add all of our new files, and then git commit message adding Netlify. That's enough for now. And then git push origin master. Origin does not, git origin. Okay, so let's just try git push and then it'll tell us what we're missing. So remote, add the name and the URL. Okay, so let's do that. So we'll go to git here, and I need to go to my new application here. So come on, and what do we need? We need git remote. It's telling us here the command that we need to run. So git remote add, and the name is feedback app Brad React course. Ay, mamma mia. Okay, and then we need to paste in the URL. And paste and go. Yeah, okay, that's what I want to push to it. So git push. And git push and the name. Okay, so the name is feedback app Brad React. Wish I called it something smaller now, of course. So cool. Perfect, and that pushed. So great. So he's just going through the git steps, but we just did that. Okay, so now we're going to go to Netlify and create an account. So let's do that. So I'll do it here. Netlify. We'll go probably to the first link, but we'll see now if that is the correct link. So Netlify, yeah, first link. I'll zoom in here. So we just want to sign up. I don't currently have a Netlify account, I don't think. I'll just sign up with an email address. My email is, your girl doesn't know, so Lilly code. Cool, just go to one of my videos. pause, and then it's in my description. So cool. Lilly code official, of course, dots. I wasn't sure whether it was underscores or dots for just a moment. So email, we'll pop that in there, and then we'll put in a password. What? Okay. Cool. So there we go, and now we can log in, and I just need to verify my account, so I'll do that. So just go to my Gmail over here, log in, so I'll just sign into the account. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, and there we go. Welcome to Netlify. Perfect. And verify my email. And perfect. So now we are here. So I'm using Netlify for personal. I am a developer. Wouldn't say hobby, but let's go with that. And what do I do? Personal. Project name, so this is going to be feedback app. Feedback. Does this need to match? Let's wait and see what Brad is going to do. Oh, what? So he signed in with a personal account, and then he just hooked it straight to GitHub. So I need to sign in with the same one as my GitHub. So I'll do that. I'll sign in with the same one as my GitHub, and then we'll keep going here. So okay, so perfect. So I just logged in with my GitHub instead. And now what we can do is we can import from Git. So GitHub. Cool. Authorize. I just need to authorize it. It came up in a second window, so authorized. Install Netlify. Okay, so all repositories or only selected repositories, and we want feedback app. Perfect. And install. So pick the repository. Yes. Okay. Okay, here we go. So there we go. We have it here. So perfect. That is not the owner. But anyway. So I'm going to run to the main build, and then, yeah, so the build command is going to be npm run build. And the directory is just going to be build. Yes. So now if I deploy site, and site deploy is in process. Oh, it failed. Okay. So, what's wrong? Build ready to start. Failed to fetch the cache, continuing with build. Started to prepare the repo. No cache dependencies. Cloning a fresh repo from feedback app Brad course. Error checking out submodules. No URL for submodule path feedback page in Git modules. No URL for submodule feedback page in Git modules. Okay, so let's Google this and see what the problem is. So search, and I'll add Netlify in here. Yeah, there we go. Deploying app build with learner files in Netlify. So we'll just check what this says and hopefully be better off. Yes, okay, so he's having the same issue as I am. Cool. My GitHub repo is this package.json. Okay, so I don't have any of this done. And no one answered him anyway. Sorry, it's not funny. It's just not funny at all when you can't get your answer, but just funny that we looked at it and, you know, no submodule path. Okay, so let me actually keep that word. Yes, there we go. I have submodules in, so I'll just say Netlify and search again. Cool, so answers Netlify. Yeah, let's check what Netlify has to say, and then let's check a Stack Overflow. And I'll close everything else because this is getting crazy, let me tell you. So, and I didn't mean to close Netlify, so history, Netlify, no, wrong one, history, Netlify. Cool, so what does it have to say on Netlify itself? No URL found for submodule path. Hi, I had a similar issue. I had to go into the Git directory and open up the config file. Okay, so we'll go into our Git directory here. This is git ignore, so in our build folder, I guess. Like, is this on our computer or is it within our project? Let's check out this and see if we can get a bit more idea. A repo or website has a submodule template. The submodule is referenced inside a directory of the repo. The goal is to use an Azure DevOps pipeline to build the repo. Well, this is slightly different than our error. Search. Git modules file is located at the top level directory of your tree. It's a text file with the syntax matching the requirements of git config. So let's just search for this file. I don't see it, but no. So what's going on? All he did okay, so I'm just going to try to run the build one more time and check. So here we are. No, I don't fancy a game. The deploy is done. It didn't work. We couldn't deploy your site. Check out build docs for troubleshooting or ask us for debugging advice. Okay. Command not found. Build command name build. Build with an exit blah 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 blah. So our error is checking out submodules. So let's just search for this word in this documentation. No submodule path in Git modules. Let's search for Git modules and see if that gives us anything. No. Okay, let's just see if we can run the build again. Retry. Clear cache and deploy site. Oh. Doesn't like it. Site overview. And why is this saying the wrong repo altogether? Me no likey. Probably because I'm logged in and the wrong Git account. So let's see if making sure I'm in the right one. Like, this is not the one. Let's just do email. Okay, gonna take this over here for a moment. So let's just stick with Lilly code actually, and then see if we can add the repo in somehow. So now I'm doing it from Lilly code. Okay. Import from Git. So GitHub, yeah. This is not the right account, so go to your personal profile. Oh yeah, this is me. Here we go. Okay, that's better. Yeah. Okay, cool. So now let me make sure. And which repo is this doing it on now? So let's just try this again. So npm run build. But I'm not even sure what repository this is hooked up to, but this is the page it brought me to, so let's just see what happens. Deploy. Oh yeah, yeah. Thirsty Jackson, okay. Fail. So this Git modules folder, I need to add a URL. So Git modules folder, like, I'm not even sure. So Git modules folder file, add to project, React project, which I'm sure will be the same for any project, but let's just see what's. Can't add React project to Git repo. How to add a submodule in Git. Here we will cover the actions. Okay, so the command below creates an empty repository, then explores the submodule. So I'm just going to zoom in here so you guys can see this. So I have Git in it already. You should run the git submodule add. Okay, cool. So he just skipped that, I think. I could be wrong, maybe I skipped it, but I think it doesn't matter. So we'll just run that. Git submodule add. Cool. Now I'm guessing we need to run our build again, or like, do we have this Git module folder? Let's see. Keep reading for a moment. So now as a submodule, we have awesome library. It will be cloned by Git at once. For reviewing the state, you should run git status. So git status. Okay. So let's run our build again, because now we have our submodule file created. Hopefully it's in this project, so it's hooked it up properly to the name of the project. That's what I would expect to happen. Operation not permitted because of my fav icon. Okay, these things happen, these things happen. Let's just stop everything else running and try it again, because maybe just even from having things running. Cool. Okay, so there's a command to create your submodule folder in Git. We hadn't got that. That's needed for Netlify. So hopefully we're inching closer and closer to getting this deployed on Netlify, which will be so awesome. Like, I can't wait to see this. So now we're going to do our run build command, which was npm run build, but just to be sure, let's just do a history here. So you can say history. Just close my window there because of the airplane. So history, and this will give you your history. So we just want to do bang and 3, or 3. Put 3 bang. Oh, I can't even remember how to run history at this moment in time. So npm run build, npm run build. Cool. Maybe we shouldn't have our build running either when we're doing. Maybe, you know, sometimes having things running isn't ideal when you're trying to do other things. So, oh, this is just creating our build again. That's fine. Okay, so this is actually creating our build again. What I meant to do was serve it, but I actually won't serve it while we're trying to create the Netlify build off it, because we just don't want those two things interacting. It seems like a bad idea. So now I'll go back to my deploy here and retry the deploy. And it just tells me failed straight away. Okay, so build and deploy. Yes. Yes, yes. Yes. Save. Okay. So, yeah, that's okay. So deploys. I just want to try and run it again. So site overview, here we go. Deploy your site. Main. Trigger deploy. Clear the cache. Try again. Okay, so no URL found for submodule feedback paid in Git modules. So now we should have created this file, but I don't know how to access it. Am I looking in the right place? Am I not? These are the bits. This is why I started this channel, guys. I swear, because you come to some things and people just think like, oh, this is so, you know, everybody knows this. But you don't know until you know at all. Oh, look, I didn't even read properly. The git submodule add command is capable of taking a URL parameter which points to the repository. Now as a submodule we have awesome library. Okay, so I should add the URL as a parameter and then commit the changes. So to add it as a parameter, do I add it in brackets? Okay, so I just add it straight after. Okay, well, no wonder. Yes, okay. So instead I'll copy this command again. I need to paste in the URL. Read slowly, Leanne. That's a big thing that I need to do. Sometimes I just race ahead, you know, and you need to take it slow with coding. It's training your brain. Like, I'm still doing it 4 years in, training my brain. Take it slow, you know, there's no rush. Properly thinking through the solution is what's going to get you the answer. But just even on camera, like, I don't want to be slowing down. I'd like to be as quick as possible, but it doesn't benefit anyone because then you just run around in circles. So look, new file, git modules, bada bing, baby, we got a file. I should have known that it should have created something, mama. So probably even if I read the terminal, it would have told me failed to create file or something, because you know. So I'll add this now. I'll add all these changes and I'll commit them. I can do that while that's running there. So I'll say git add everything, git commit added a submodule file with command git add submodule and then repo URL, like that perhaps, to make it a bit obvious. And then I'll close off my tag git push here. I need the name, so git push. Oh fuck, excuse my language, sorry guys, I added it to the wrong repo, didn't I? So lucky. Slow down, Leanne, there's no rush. Okay, so slowing down. Look at that, I've been doing 100 days of code for the last 100 days and just keep forgetting to commit like at the end of a day, because like everything there should be green. Anyway, doesn't matter. I know myself that I'm learning, so that's all that's important. Sometimes I just don't commit like every time, you know, or like at all. I do just be working through things. So I want my own feedback app Brad React course. This is where I need to create my submodule file for. So I just want to cancel here. What you doing? Slow. I want to revert my last commit because that was to the wrong file. So revert last commit, just git reset hard. How to undo, yeah, git revert. Okay, let's make sure. Git reset, yeah. Undo the last commit from your git repository. Git reset soft head 1. Git log 1 line. Okay, so let's just do this. Yeah. So git status. Cool, so there's our git modules file back. I want to get rid of that because it's to the wrong place. That's okay. Or is it? No. Get rid of that as well. I'll just undo these changes. Yes, forever lost. That's what I want. Perfect. Open back up my terminal. Say git add submodule and paste in my URL, not this, my repo URL, which is LeanneLB feedback app Brad React course. Lilly code in the house. Oh yeah, submodule. What's going on? Git submodule add, was it? Git submodule add. Okay, so I just got them backwards. So git submodule add, and let's get rid of this add. So okay, so now we have this git submodule file. Perfect. It has the URL in there. Great. The actual URL. Great. So now let's add these changes. Git add everything. Git commit message created submodule file. Git push. Git push React for a background course. Cool. This. Why does it not just know my remote URL? That's alright though. Sometimes, most times I just have to say git push, but anyway. So now, if I try to redeploy, will it work? We have the file, it's in our git repo. And it failed again. Okay. No URL found for submodule path feedback page in Git modules. No URL found for submodule path feedback page. Feedback page. Oh, because I called the feedback page here, didn't I? Yeah. Yeah, feedback page is the name of our folder we have it in, but so if I just do feedback page, I think. So let me open up this folder. File, sorry, so I want to edit it. Will this let me edit? No. Okay, so open the file for me, please. Feedback app. Let's get rid of the rest. This is the URL. Let's commit this file. So add git commit. Let's just copy what we did before. So git add everything. Git commit. Git push to that URL and try again. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. Why not? Tell me why shouldn't be? It's the only way to not lose your mind. Yeah. So still no submodules. Okay. Right. No URL found for the submodule path feedback page. No what? No URL. For the submodule path feedback page. So I need to know how all this links up together, really. Right, so guys, we've got a bit far with our Netlify deploy. We still need to finish it off. That's okay. I'm going to pick up exactly where I left off tomorrow because we've just hit the hour in 2 minutes and I feel like time for a break. So yes, I'm going to pick this up tomorrow and figure this out. Sometimes you just got to know when to close the book. So I'll see you all soon. Thanks so much for joining me, Lily Code, on another episode of 100 Days of Code. Appreciate it so much and have an absolutely fantastic, delightful, wonderful day, and love you all. Enjoy yourselves. Thanks so much for joining me. Please do like and subscribe. You know the drill. Love you all. Thanks a mil. Bye guys.